on the back it says, "For J.O. Love SC,"
So cool.
which is amazing, right?
That's great.
And I was like, oh my God, this is Steve being just such a nice guy, thanking me for giving this to the rest of the cast. And then I realized everyone also got one. At first I thought it was just me, and then Ben Schwartz texted me. He's like, "Oh my God, did you get the gift?"
Jimmy, thank you so much for joining us for Talking Watches.
Thanks for having me. This is one of my favorite shows to watch. I watch Ronnie's episode, DDK's episode, many people's episodes. I'm just a fan.
You have some great watches that you brought here today.
Uh-huh.
I'm excited to get into it and talk about them.
Uh-huh.
And why don't we start with this Dragon Ball Z watch that we have right here.
This, I would think, is probably the first watch I ever owned. It's a Trunks watch. You see the bands are made of plastic. I made a really stupid mistake. I found this watch in my memory trunk, like about 5 years ago, and then I thought I'll wipe it down with some alcohol wipes or whatever, strip the rubber.
Oh man.
So I need to really change the strip, but this is still one of my favorite watches. Dragon Ball Z is one of my favorite animes growing up. The favorite anime of anyone in Hong Kong.
Okay.
Really. We used to collect, me and my brother, these kind of foil cards and everything. And this was an ultimate collection. I was like the coolest kid in school. Very legit. Still one of my favorites. Once I get it fixed, I'm gonna wear it again.
And so this is a watch that you got when you were a kid, and you've obviously since kind of progressed onto finer watches, we'll say, but you still have this Dragon Ball Z watch in the collection. That's great.
Can you appraise this? This is not the Antique Roadshow. Can you just tell me, like, it's like, this is actually worth $5,000 at auction. So the first watch I bought as an adult is this Marc Jacobs watch. I went to Nordstrom. I was about to do the Arsenio Hall show. My very first television appearance as a stand-up. So I was like, man, I'm gonna go to Nordstrom and buy some nice clothes. I bought a $200 pair of Joe's jeans. Then I stopped by like the jewelry and perfume section at Nordstrom. And I just love the color of this watch, the blue with the leather band. I still love it. As you can see, I don't know what you call it. It got all smudged from the inside.
Yeah, the crystal was a little fogged from the inside, it looks like. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe some water got in there at some point.
Yeah, it's not a well-made watch, okay? It looks good, and it was $200, which I thought was a lot of money. But I remember a month after shooting Arsenio Hall, the battery ran out, and also the watch just stopped working completely, even after I changed the battery. So I had to go into Nordstrom with my receipt and exchange for a new one. So I went from probably like a $5 Dragon Ball Z watch, waited, probably, this was what, say 7 years old, and then I was probably around 25 when I bought this for $200.
And so from the Dragon Ball Z and then into the Marc Jacobs watch, where did you go next in terms of
The
watches?
next one is actually my favorite one, the one I wore the most, the one I wore in my comedy special.
I didn't go to any like fun summer camp, space camp. My dad sent me to a ping pong training camp in Guangzhou, China.
It's this 1969 Pepsi.
My dad would take me to every practice, every tournament game, and he always tried to give me a pep talk before every game. But you know, Asian parents, they're way too honest. So every pep talk just turned into an insult. Like he would come up to me and be like, Jimmy, you're going to play well, okay? Even though you're slow, even though you're weak, and you suck.
I really wasn't like a super watch guy until I shot Crazy Rich Asians.
Okay.
And then I met Kevin Kwan, the author of the book. He is just a man of very fine taste. So he put me on game on like watches, perfume even, clothing, stuff like that. So I really have no interest buying like a $90 t-shirt. So I started researching watches, and I just thought this one looks so beautiful. The newer ones are like a little bulky, a little too big for my wrist, you know? Is that the one?
Yeah, so
this is really nice.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is a Batman. So this would be like the current production version of the GMT. Your 1675 is a little bit more refined. Same case diameter, 40 millimeters.
It's a lot lighter.
It's a lot lighter, and it's also just, it's not quite as bulky, I would say. You're exactly right.
Yeah, which is good for my wrist. My wrist is quite small, so I love these vintage watches. And this is just so versatile. I can wear it formally or not, you know, it's like fun colors without being too dark and serious. So I love it.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful matte dial, 1675. Pepsi GMTs are a classic. It's the original configuration of the GMT.
Yeah,
you know,
and I would say this is the watch that when I just wear it out, bros would approach me and be like, hey man, it's a good watch. You know, my brother, I guess, he doesn't really know about vintage watches. Maybe now he does. But when he saw this Nick, he was like, oh, what is this? Start picking. And I was like, stop! Stop, what are you doing? You're gonna rip off my whole thing, you know? But yeah, this is my baby, man.
And so now we're into vintage Rolex.
Yes.
So you've made a jump, we'll say.
Yeah.
What came next?
Well, what came next is another vintage Rolex, this 1981 Datejust Jubilee band. I feel like every Asian dad had this when I was growing up. My dad actually has a fully gold one with a white face, but this is just so classic. Growing up in Hong Kong, everybody wore this one. It's like the sign of success, you know. It's in such pristine condition, and there's something beautiful about it. And of course, it has the Tiffany dial.
Which is unbelievable. That's really, to me, what makes that watch stand out is the Tiffany dial.
Yeah, which I had no idea until the guy I want to buy a watch started explaining to me, and I was like, oh, this is a very special piece. I don't wear this as much as the GMT, but you know, when I dress up, when I wear a lot of beige color and stuff like that, it's just an absolutely beautiful watch. It's so clean and so classic.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, two-tone obviously is associated a lot with like maybe the 80s into the very early 90s, but it's made a comeback. And now Rolex makes even the Explorer, which has been hit, you know, the brand's go anywhere rough steel tool watch. Now even the Explorer is available in two-tone. So
Yeah.
two-tone is coming back.
My mom has always told me not to buy a two-tone. He's like, if you buy a two-tone, people that buy two-tones are people that can't afford the full gold. I'm like, I don't know about that. You know, I really love this watch. And when I put it on my wrist, it fit perfectly. Whoever owned it before me must be a woman with a very fine wrist. So it was perfect. I didn't have to add links or remove links. It was just absolutely perfect. I was like, I have to buy this. So I actually took like a couple weeks, did my research, try some other ones, and there was just nothing more perfect than this. So I would say I paid a little extra, you know, for the Tiffany dial, for the condition of it, but very happy with my purchase. And then I have this watch, a G-Shock.
Nice.
Classic. This is a watch I've always wanted when I was growing up as a kid in Hong Kong. And we would just go to, you know, Lady Street in Hong Kong and buy like a fake one for like $5. I never owned a real one. So when I was shooting this movie Love Hard, Josh Lin.
Great movie, by the way.
Thank you. He reminded me of a younger version, a more insecure version of myself, very sporty, not very good at talking with girls, things like that. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if he just wore G-Shock? So like I just had this epiphany at night, like 12 a.m. and I sent an email to the costume designer and the prop master, and they were both like, yes, absolutely, love that idea. So we just picked and choose like scenes where we wore this watch to look a little more sporty. Like the scenes when I was rock climbing.
The key is to not focus on the wall, but to focus on your first move. Here, look at this. And then your second, okay? On to your third. See, great things are done by a series of small things brought together.
That's actually very insightful.
Van Gogh.
I still don't know how to work the function of this watch. I think the timer has been on for 2 years and 20. I have no idea. There's just a lot of buttons. But this to me, it's a very special prop watch that I actually wore on the movie. And this, I forced the prop department. So this was just part of movie budget.
Yeah.
And I get to keep it. It's probably like, what, $300?
I don't know exactly, but that sounds probably about right.
But at auction, since I wore this Josh Lin, this would be what?
I mean, it's got provenance now, man.
30 grand?
I'll pay you that for that.
Okay, there you go. We got a deal. And then after that, this is our good friend Eric Wynn. I was in Vancouver shooting Space Force, and he was like, oh man, I just did a collab with Seiko and Rolling Blazers. Would you like a watch? And I was like, yes, absolutely. But I kind of maybe strong-armed the guy a little bit. I was like, Eric, man, you know, I'm shooting this show, and I love my whole cast, you know. Is there a way you can send me some extra ones I can give it to the cast? And I mean, he was so amazing. He did send me like different ones. So I gave one to each of my cast members, you know, Steve Carell, John Malkovich, Tawny, Newsom, Ben Schwartz, Diana Silvers, Don Lake. Everyone got one in different colors. And this is my favorite with the classic racing stripe. So I wear this. I wore it for like 3 months when I first got it every day. It's just so sporty and fun, especially in the summer with like a short sleeve shirt. And Seiko, it's kind of like the Asian Rolex, so I got to rep it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in the Seiko 5, too, in particular, Rowing Blazers is such a cool collaboration for the Seiko 5, but the Seiko 5 is, it's an affordable watch that's like, really well made, and it's a lot of people's entry point into collecting mechanical watches actually is the Seiko 5.
Yeah, it's really, really cool, and everybody loved it. But this watch actually led to this other watch, which is the Omega Speedmaster here. This is a brand new Speedmaster, and it's just absolutely, it's like a tuxedo. It's so beautiful and elegant, right? So Steve Carell actually sent this over. As you can see, on the back it says, "For J.O. Love SC,"
So cool.
which is amazing, right?
That's great.
And I was like, oh my God, this is Steve being just such a nice guy, thanking me for giving this to the rest of the cast. And then I realized everyone also got one. At first I thought it was just me, and then Ben Schwartz texted me. He was like, "Oh my God, did you get the gift?" And then I was like, "Oh God damn it." But still, what an amazing gesture.
Yes.
But what an also great investment. This as a gift, probably like, I don't know, $500 retail. I got $5,000 back because I 10x'd my investment. Not investment, Steve was gonna give this to us as a gift. And he wrote like a personal note card to us with like Steve Carell beveled, like embedded letterhead. It was so freaking cool. I got the box. This is the only watch I have that comes with a box because it's brand new.
Yeah.
And I only wear it for like very special occasions, to premieres and stuff like that. So it was a very, very special gift. And Steve is just the kindest man on the planet.
And so, do you have a watch that you tend to reach for when you're going to go do an hour of stand-up, half an hour of stand-up? You're like, this is the watch for that?
Yeah, I would say the GMT is the one. It's just so simple. It's not ostentatious. For someone that doesn't really know about watches, they wouldn't rob me. They don't think this is super expensive or anything. Like this one honestly looks more expensive than that one. But for people that are in the know, it's pretty cool, yet it's casual. This might look too rich. Because as a stand-up, you don't want to, nobody want to laugh at your jokes about you complaining about your life when you look like you got money on stage.
Right.
You kind of almost got to dress down. That's why some comics can wear a suit, like Ronnie, like John Mulaney. I can't. I tried it once. I wore a suit, dressed up, decked out, nice watch with, Prada shoes. Nobody laughed. That's just not my style. So I got to stay kind of casual.
I'm like quasi-famous now. Nothing's really changed. I might get a free appetizer at select PF Chang's. That's about it.
In stand-up comedy, say you do an hour set, you tell the guy to give you a light at like 45 minutes or 5 minutes left or whatever. So you know when to wrap it up, right? But for me, I was like, you don't even need to give me this light because I know I got an hour on my watch. All I have to do is just flip my wrist, reference to it. So it's actually very functional for me. And especially with this day and age with all this technology and stuff like that, I don't want to reach into my phone every time to check the time and I end up checking 5 apps on top of that. Yeah. So I just have a watch that keeps me honest.
It's one app, just the time, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so it's actually functional, which is great.
What's next for you in terms of projects that you're working on?
Yeah, so Love Heart did really well for Netflix, So I did another Netflix movie with Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg, and I play this very interesting character, and I actually get to wear this watch. So that will be coming out probably later this year or 2023. I'm very excited. It's a very interesting role. And just writing, producing, and doing more stand-up. I got a few things on the iron, and some very exciting ideas that I finally get to pitch. People are actually finally listening to me. Like, can you believe that? And there's some very exciting things. We'll see. We'll see what hits.